Rich men think in years, broke men think in weekends. Part 1. The difference begins in the mind. Have you ever noticed how two people can wake up in the same neighborhood, attend the same school, earn roughly the same paycheck, and yet 10 years later, one is financially free while the other is still living paycheck to paycheck? It isn't always because one worked harder. It isn't always because one was smarter. And it certainly isn't always because one got lucky. More often than people realize, the difference begins with something invisible. A way of thinking, a way of seeing time. Because time is the one resource every person receives equally. Every billionaire, every entrepreneur, every teacher, every student, every construction worker, every artist, and every dreamer starts the day with the same 24 hours. Yet those hours produce completely different lives. Why? Because some people think about Friday, others think about 5 years from now. The man who spends Monday counting down to the weekend is preparing for temporary pleasure. The man who spends Monday building a skill is preparing for permanent freedom. That's the difference. Rich men think in years, broke men think in weekends. Now, this isn't about the amount of money sitting in someone's bank account today. A wealthy mindset and a wealthy bank balance are not always the same thing. Someone can earn millions and lose it, all because they never learn to think long-term. Someone else can start with almost nothing, but slowly build lasting wealth because they understand the power of patience. We live in a culture obsessed with speed, instant messages, instant food, instant entertainment, instant success stories. Everywhere you look, someone is promising overnight wealth. Become rich in 30 days. Double your money this month. Quit your job next week. But real wealth doesn't work like that. A giant oak tree doesn't appear overnight. It begins as a tiny seed buried beneath the ground. For months, maybe years, it looks like nothing is happening. But underground, roots are growing. The roots come first. The visible success comes later. Most people quit because they don't see immediate results. The wealthy keep watering the tree even when no one else can see it growing. That's why patience has become one of the most valuable financial skills in the world. Imagine two friends who both receive the same salary. The first spends every weekend shopping, partying, upgrading gadgets, and chasing the latest trends. By Monday morning, the money is gone. The second spends weekends learning new skills, reading, networking, building a side business, or investing. 5 years pass. Nothing dramatic happened in a single weekend, but thousands of small decisions have compounded. One person owns memories, the other owns assets. One purchased temporary excitement, the other purchased permanent opportunities. This is the invisible power of long-term thinking. The truth is, success is rarely built in dramatic moments. It is built in ordinary days. Days when nobody is watching. Days when motivation disappears. Days when excuses sound convincing. Those are the days that shape the future. Rich people understand something that many people overlook. Every action is a vote for the person they want to become. Every book read, every dollar invested, every healthy meal, every workout, every difficult conversation, every hour spent learning instead of scrolling. These aren't isolated events, they're investments. The average person asks, "What do I feel like doing today?" The successful person asks, "What will my future self thank me for?" That one question changes everything. Think about an architect. Before a single brick is laid, there is a blueprint. Months of planning happen before construction begins. Nobody criticizes the architect because the building isn't finished after 1 week. Everyone understands that great structures require time. Yet when it comes to our own lives, many expect extraordinary results from ordinary effort. They want financial freedom after a few months, a dream body after 2 weeks, a successful business after a handful of social media posts. Life doesn't reward impatience, it rewards consistency. Every successful company began as an idea. Every best-selling author began with a blank page. Every athlete began as a beginner. Every investor began with a first dollar. The difference is that they stayed committed long after the excitement faded. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Many people don't actually hate Mondays. They hate the life they've built between weekends. That's why Friday feels like freedom. But imagine building a life where you don't need to escape every Friday. Imagine enjoying your work because it connects to a larger vision. Imagine waking up knowing each day moves you closer to financial independence. That's what happens when you stop living from weekend to weekend and start living from year to year. Time suddenly becomes your greatest ally instead of your greatest enemy. So ask yourself, 5 years from today, what kind of person are you becoming with the choices you're making right now? Because the future isn't created by one spectacular decision. It's created by thousands of ordinary ones. And every single day gives you another opportunity to cast a vote for the life you truly want. Part 2. The hidden cost of short-term thinking. Most people never realize they're paying a price for every decision they make, not because money leaves their pocket, but because opportunity leaves their future. The greatest cost in life is rarely what you spend. It's what you could have become if you had made a different choice. Think about that for a moment. Every hour has a value. Every day is an investment. Every year is a building block. Whether you know it or not, you're constantly trading your present for your future. The question is simple. What are you getting in return? Many people spend years chasing immediate rewards. They chase comfort. They chase entertainment. They chase distractions. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying life. The problem begins when enjoyment becomes the goal instead of the reward. Because when pleasure becomes the destination, progress quietly disappears. Look around. How many people spend more time planning a vacation than planning their future? How many people can tell you exactly where they're going this weekend, but have no idea where they want to be 5 years from now? That's not an accident. That's conditioning. We've been taught to focus on what feels good now. The advertisement says buy now. The app says watch now. The notification says respond now. Everything around us is competing for our attention, and attention is the currency of achievement. Where your attention goes, your future follows. The wealthy understand this. They know that every distraction has a cost. Every unnecessary purchase has a cost. Every wasted hour has a cost. Not because one decision changes everything, but because repeated decisions become a lifestyle, and lifestyles become destinies. Imagine two people standing at the edge of a road. The first takes a path that is easy today. The second takes a path that is difficult today. At first, the difference is almost invisible. One chooses comfort. The other chooses growth. One chooses entertainment. The other chooses education. One chooses excuses. The other chooses responsibility. After one day, there is no noticeable difference. After 1 month, there is little difference. After 1 year, the gap begins to appear. After 10 years, they seem to live in different worlds. The road didn't separate them overnight. The daily choices did. This is why wealthy people often appear patient. They understand that success is not an event. It's a process that compounds. Most people understand compound interest when it comes to money. Invest a small amount consistently, and over time, the growth accelerates. But few people realize that life itself operates on the same principle. Skills compound, knowledge compounds, relationships compound, health compounds, confidence compounds, reputation compounds. Every positive action you repeat creates momentum. And momentum is powerful. A person who reads 10 pages a day may not seem impressive, but after a year they've read thousands of pages. After 5 years, they've absorbed more knowledge than most people consume in a lifetime. A person who saves a little money every month may not look wealthy today, but over time, discipline transforms into options. Options transform into freedom. Freedom transforms into wealth. This is what short-term thinkers fail to see. They only see today's sacrifice. Long-term thinkers see tomorrow's reward. When most people hear the word sacrifice, they imagine loss. But successful people view sacrifice differently. They see it as an exchange. They're not giving something up. They're trading something small for something bigger. Trading temporary comfort for permanent opportunity. Trading entertainment for education. Trading convenience for growth. Trading today's pleasure for tomorrow's freedom. And that's a trade worth making. Consider the difference between spending and investing. Spending feels good immediately. Investing feels good eventually. That's why investing is difficult. Not just financial investing. Investing in yourself. Investing in your health. Investing in your business. Investing in your skills. The reward often arrives long after the effort. And many people quit before the reward appears. They plant seeds, then dig them up every week to see if they're growing. Success doesn't work like that. You must trust the process. The farmer doesn't plant a seed on Monday and expect a harvest on Friday. The farmer understands seasons: planting season, growing season, harvest season. Yet many people expect harvest season every day. Life doesn't operate that way. There is a time to learn, a time to struggle, a time to build, a time to wait, and eventually a time to receive. But if you quit during the growing season, you'll never experience the harvest. This is where patience becomes a superpower. In a world addicted to immediate results, patience has become rare, and rare qualities often create extraordinary rewards. The ability to stay focused on a goal for years is becoming increasingly uncommon. Most people abandon their dreams not because they fail. They abandon them because they become bored. The excitement disappears. Progress feels slow. Results aren't immediate. So they move on to something else, and something else, and something else. Years pass. Nothing changes. Not because they lacked potential, but because they lacked persistence. The wealthy understand that boredom is often a sign you're doing the right thing. Success is not always exciting. Sometimes it's repetitive. Sometimes it's ordinary. Sometimes it's showing up and doing the same thing again and again. But those ordinary actions create extraordinary outcomes. The world celebrates dramatic transformations. But real transformation is usually invisible. It's the entrepreneur working late when nobody notices. It's the student studying while friends are out partying. It's the investor making consistent contributions month after month. It's the athlete training long before the championship arrives. The victory is public. The preparation is private. And that's where most people lose. They want public rewards without private discipline. They want the applause without the effort. The results without the process. But life doesn't negotiate. The process always comes first. And the process always takes time. So the next time you're tempted to ask, "What can I get today?" try asking a different question. What can I build over the next 5 years? That single shift can transform your life. Because rich men think in years. They understand that the future belongs to those who prepare for it. Broke men think in weekends. They focus on what feels good now. One mindset creates temporary pleasure. The other creates lasting freedom. And every day, whether you realize it or not, you're choosing between the two. Part 3. Weekend mentality versus legacy mentality. There comes a moment in every person's life when they have to answer a simple but life-changing question. Am I building memories that fade, or a legacy that lasts? A weekend is temporary. A legacy can outlive you. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a weekend. Rest matters. Time with family matters. Celebrating milestones matters. The problem begins when the weekend becomes the highlight of your life instead of a small part of it. Listen carefully to the conversations happening around you. It's only 2 more days until Friday. I can't wait for the weekend. Thank goodness it's finally over. For millions of people, life becomes a cycle of surviving 5 days just to enjoy 2. Week after week, month after month, year after year. Without realizing it, they're wishing away most of their lives. Now imagine someone else. They wake up on Monday with purpose. Not because every task is exciting, not because every day is easy, but because every day is connected to a bigger vision. Their work has meaning. Their habits have direction. Their sacrifices have purpose. When you know where you're going, even difficult days become valuable. This is the difference between living for the weekend and living for a mission. People with a weekend mentality ask, "How can I escape this week?" People with a legacy mentality ask, "How can I use this week to build the future I want?" The questions are different, and different questions lead to different lives. Think about someone constructing a cathedral. The workers laying bricks might become tired. The days might feel repetitive. The progress might seem slow. But every brick has a purpose because they can already see the finished masterpiece in their minds. Now imagine another worker laying bricks with no vision. Every brick feels heavy. Every day feels endless. Every hour feels wasted. The work is the same. The mindset is different. Vision changes everything. Without vision, discipline feels like punishment. With vision, discipline becomes an investment. That's why successful people spend time thinking about the future. Not because they ignore today, but because today's actions only make sense when connected to tomorrow's goals. Ask yourself this: If someone watched your daily routine for 1 month, what would they conclude is most important to you? Would they say you're building wealth, building wisdom, building strong relationships, building your health? Or would they say you're building distractions? Because your calendar tells the truth. Your spending tells the truth. Your habits tell the truth, not your intentions. Intentions are easy. Execution is rare. Everyone wants success. Few want the process that creates it. The weekend mentality loves comfort. The legacy mentality embraces responsibility. One asks, what do I have to do? The other asks, what do I get to build? Notice the difference. Responsibility is often viewed as a burden, but responsibility is also where freedom begins. Every entrepreneur who built a successful company accepted responsibility. Every skilled professional accepted responsibility for learning. Every financially independent person accepted responsibility for their choices. Responsibility isn't the enemy of freedom. It's the price of freedom. Many people spend years blaming circumstances. They blame the economy, their employer, their upbringing, their education, their luck. While some obstacles are very real, focusing only on what you can't control often leaves you stuck. Long-term thinkers focus on what they can influence. They ask, what skill can I learn? What habit can I improve? What relationship can I strengthen? What problem can I solve? Those questions create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. And results create opportunities. This is how a legacy is built. Not in one dramatic leap, but through thousands of consistent steps. Picture a sculptor standing before a giant block of marble. The masterpiece isn't revealed with one strike of the hammer. It's revealed through thousands of careful, patient blows. Most people would have quit after the first 100. The sculptor keeps going because they already see what the marble can become. Your life works the same way. Every disciplined choice removes another piece of what is holding you back. Every lesson learned shapes your character. Every challenge overcome strengthens your resilience. Over time, the person you are becoming begins to emerge. That's the power of consistency. The world often celebrates outcomes. The promotion, the business launch, the new house, the financial freedom. But those outcomes are only the visible part of the story. Hidden beneath every visible success are years of invisible effort. The late nights, the early mornings, the mistakes, the failures, the doubts, the quiet decisions to keep going. Success is rarely glamorous while it's being built. It becomes inspiring only after people see the finished result. That's why comparison is so dangerous. You see someone else's chapter 20, you're living your chapter 3. You compare their harvest to your seed, their confidence to your uncertainty, their success to your beginning. But every expert was once inexperienced. Every leader was once unknown. Every wealthy person once made a first investment. Every successful business once had its first customer. The beginning is never supposed to look like the ending. So stop measuring your progress against someone else's timeline. Measure it against your own potential. Ask yourself, am I improving? Am I learning? Am I becoming more disciplined than I was a year ago? Those are the questions that matter. Because wealth is not built by chasing shortcuts. It's built by becoming the kind of person who can create value over and over again. Money follows value. Opportunity follows preparation. Freedom follows discipline. And legacy follows consistent action. Years from now, people won't remember how many weekends you spent scrolling through your phone. They won't remember the television shows you binge-watched. They won't remember every party you attended. But they may remember the business you built, the family you raised, the lives you changed, the problems you solved, the example you set. That's what legacy means. It's leaving behind something greater than temporary pleasure. So before you count down to the next weekend, ask yourself one question. What am I building that will still matter 5, 10, or 20 years from now? Because rich men think in years. They build foundations. They plant trees whose shade they may never personally enjoy. They understand that true wealth is measured not only by what you own, but by what you leave behind. And those who adopt that mindset don't just change their finances. They change their future. Part 4. The compound effect of daily habits. If you ask someone what changed their life, they might point to a promotion, a successful business, or a major opportunity. But look closer. That moment was almost never the beginning. It was the result. The beginning happened much earlier. It happened on ordinary mornings, on quiet evenings, in small decisions that seemed too insignificant to matter. This is one of the greatest misconceptions about success. People believe their future is shaped by big moments. In reality, it's shaped by small habits, repeated over and over again. Think of a drop of water falling onto a stone. 1 drop changes nothing. 10 drops change nothing. 100 drops still seem meaningless. But let those drops continue for years, and eventually the stone begins to wear away. Not because any single drop was powerful, but because consistency is powerful. Your habits work the same way. 1 workout won't transform your body. 1 book won't make you an expert. 1 investment won't make you wealthy. 1 conversation won't build a lasting relationship. But repeat those actions long enough, and the results become impossible to ignore. This is the secret that long-term thinkers understand. They don't chase dramatic change. They build reliable systems. A goal gives you direction. A habit carries you there. Imagine 2 people who each decide they want to improve their lives. The first waits until they feel motivated. When motivation is high, they work hard. When it fades, they stop. The second creates a routine. They show up whether they feel inspired or not. Some days are productive. Some days are average. Some days are difficult. But they keep showing up. A year later, who has made more progress? Not the one who felt motivated the most. The one who remained consistent. Motivation is like the weather. It changes. Discipline is like the compass. It keeps pointing you in the right direction, even when conditions are difficult. This is why wealthy people often focus more on routines than on excitement. They know excitement fades. Habits remain. Look at the people who excel in any field. Musicians practice scales long before performing on stage. Athletes train when no cameras are watching. Writers fill countless pages before publishing a bestseller. The audience sees the performance. They rarely see the preparation. Success is often hidden inside repetition. And repetition isn't glamorous. It's waking up early when you'd rather stay in bed. It's reading another chapter when you'd rather scroll through your phone. It's saving money when you'd rather spend it. It's improving your craft 1 small step at a time. These actions may not feel extraordinary, but together they create extraordinary lives. There's another truth many people overlook. Bad habits compound just as powerfully as good ones. A little overspending becomes years of debt. A little procrastination becomes missed opportunities. A little neglect of your health becomes serious problems later. A little dishonesty damages trust. A little complacency keeps dreams permanently out of reach. The danger is that negative habits often feel harmless in the moment. Their consequences arrive slowly. By the time they become obvious, years may have passed. Good habits work in the opposite direction. Their rewards are delayed. You work hard today, you see little change. You work hard tomorrow, still very little changes. Weeks pass, months pass. Then one day people look at your life and say, "You got lucky." They didn't see the mornings you sacrificed. They didn't see the evenings you studied. They didn't see the weekends you invested in learning. While others sought only entertainment, they only saw the result. But results are never random. They are accumulated choices made over time. This is why comparison can be misleading. Someone else's success may seem sudden. In reality, it was usually years in the making. We often overestimate what we can achieve in 1 month and underestimate what we can achieve in 5 years. That misunderstanding causes people to quit too early. They expect immediate transformation. When it doesn't happen, they assume they're failing. But growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. Think of bamboo. For years after it's planted, very little appears above the ground. Someone looking at it might assume nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, an extensive root system is developing. Then when the foundation is ready, the bamboo grows rapidly. People call it sudden success. It wasn't sudden. It was prepared. Your life is no different. The effort you're making today may not produce visible rewards tomorrow, but it is building the foundation for opportunities you cannot yet see. Every skill you learn increases your value. Every book expands your thinking. Every meaningful relationship strengthens your network. Every promise you keep strengthens your character. Character is one of the greatest forms of wealth. Money can be lost. Businesses can fail. Markets can change. But integrity, discipline, resilience, and wisdom travel with you wherever you go. These qualities allow people to rebuild even after setbacks. That's why true wealth begins inside, before it appears outside. The person who becomes capable of creating value rarely stays unsuccessful forever, because value attracts opportunity, and opportunity creates abundance. As you build better habits, you'll notice something interesting. Life doesn't necessarily become easier. You become stronger. The obstacles don't disappear. Your ability to overcome them grows. That's an important distinction. Success isn't about removing every challenge. It's about becoming the kind of person who can face challenges without giving up. Each disciplined action is like adding another brick to a foundation. One brick doesn't create a house, but thousands of bricks, placed carefully over time, create something strong enough to withstand storms. Your future is built the same way, brick by brick, habit by habit, day by day, year by year. One decision may seem insignificant, but when repeated consistently, it becomes a lifestyle. And lifestyles determine destinations. So the next time you think, it's only one day, remember this: life is made of days. How you spend today is how you shape tomorrow. And tomorrow, repeated enough times, becomes your future. Rich men understand this. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't rely on inspiration alone. They trust the power of steady progress, because they know that small actions, repeated faithfully, become extraordinary achievements. And while others are counting down to the weekend, they are quietly building a life they won't need to escape from. Part 5. Delayed gratification. Choosing tomorrow over today. Imagine placing two doors in front of someone. The first door opens immediately. Behind it is comfort, entertainment, approval, pleasure. Everything feels good right now. The second door is different. At first it looks ordinary, maybe even difficult. Behind it are long hours, discipline, setbacks, and uncertainty. There are no guarantees of immediate rewards. Most people walk through the first door, not because they're incapable of greatness, but because the human mind naturally seeks what feels good now. The challenge is that life often rewards the opposite. The things that create lasting success rarely provide instant satisfaction. Learning a new skill is frustrating before it becomes valuable. Saving money feels restrictive before it creates freedom. Building a business is exhausting before it becomes profitable. Taking care of your health requires effort long before the benefits become obvious. This is the principle of delayed gratification. It's the ability to sacrifice a small reward today for a much greater reward tomorrow. It sounds simple, but in practice it changes everything. Every day presents small decisions that shape your future. Do you spend or save? Do you complain or improve? Do you scroll or study? Do you quit or continue? Each decision seems insignificant on its own, but together they become the story of your life. The wealthy understand that every no they say today can become a much bigger yes tomorrow. They say no to unnecessary spending so they can say yes to financial freedom. They say no to constant distraction so they can say yes to mastery. They say no to shortcuts so they can say yes to lasting success. Discipline isn't about denying yourself forever. It's about deciding what matters most. Think of an archer drawing a bow. To send the arrow forward, it must first be pulled backward. That backward movement isn't failure. It's preparation. Sometimes progress feels like you're standing still. Sometimes it even feels like you're moving backward. You're investing instead of spending, studying instead of relaxing, practicing instead of celebrating. From the outside, it may not look impressive, but inside, you're building strength. And when the time is right, all that preparation creates momentum. Many people misunderstand what wealth really is. They think wealth is expensive cars, large houses, luxury watches, designer clothes. Those things may be symbols of wealth. They are not wealth itself. Real wealth is having choices. The choice to spend time with your family. The choice to work because you want to, not because you have to. The choice to support causes you believe in. The choice to say no to opportunities that don't align with your values. Money can buy comfort, but disciplined thinking creates freedom. And freedom is far more valuable. The irony is that many people sacrifice their freedom today for comforts that disappear tomorrow. They finance things they don't truly need. They compare themselves with people they barely know. They chase appearances instead of stability. The result is a life that looks successful from the outside, but feels stressful on the inside. Long-term thinkers ask a different question. Instead of asking, "What can I afford?" they ask, "What will this cost me over the next 5 or 10 years?" That question changes spending. It changes relationships. It changes careers. It changes priorities. Because every decision has a price. Some prices are paid with money. Others are paid with time, energy, peace of mind, or missed opportunities. The people who build lasting wealth understand the value of saying, "Not yet." Not because they lack ambition, but because they have perspective. They know timing matters. Planting seeds in the wrong season won't produce a harvest. Neither will rushing decisions that require patience. There is strength in waiting, when waiting serves a purpose. There is wisdom in preparation, and there is power in restraint. Think about the greatest achievements in any field. A doctor studies for years before practicing independently. An engineer spends years learning before designing complex structures. An accomplished musician spends countless hours practicing before stepping onto a stage. None of these people expect excellence without preparation. Yet when it comes to money, many expect extraordinary results with very little patience. Wealth follows the same principle. It requires knowledge, consistency, resilience, and time. There will be moments when the journey feels slow, when friends seem to be moving ahead, when shortcuts appear tempting, when giving up feels easier than continuing. Those are the moments that define your future. Character isn't revealed when everything is easy. It's revealed when staying committed becomes difficult. Every challenge asks the same question. Will you trade your future for temporary comfort? Those who answer no, repeatedly, are often the ones who eventually create extraordinary lives. Not because they're perfect, but because they remain committed. They understand that progress is rarely dramatic. It's usually quiet. A little wiser today than yesterday, a little stronger this month than last month, a little closer this year than last year. Those small improvements eventually become impossible to ignore. People may call it overnight success, but you know the truth. You remember the sacrifices, the discipline, the patience, the seasons when no one noticed your effort. Those moments weren't wasted. They were building the foundation for everything that followed. So when the world encourages you to seek the fastest reward, pause and ask yourself, will this decision still serve me 5 years from now? If the answer is yes, move forward with confidence. If the answer is no, have the courage to choose differently. Because rich men think in years. They understand that the greatest rewards in life are often reserved for those willing to wait, to work and to grow. While others chase instant gratification, they build lasting freedom, one disciplined decision at a time. Part 6. The habits that quietly build wealth. Success rarely announces itself. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't knock on your door and say, "Congratulations, your life is about to change." Instead, success often enters quietly. It hides inside routines, inside choices so small that most people overlook them. Wake up 1 hour earlier. Read 10 pages. Save a little more than you spend. Learn one new skill. Make one meaningful connection. Repeat, repeat, repeat. None of these actions seem extraordinary, but together, they become the foundation of an extraordinary life. The wealthy understand something that many people never discover. Your habits are creating your future, whether you're paying attention or not. Every morning you're casting a vote, not with words, with actions. Are you voting for discipline or distraction? For growth or comfort? For opportunity or excuses? The outcome of your life is often the result of whichever side receives the most votes. Think of your habits as employees working for you around the clock. Good habits build your future even when you don't notice. Bad habits quietly work against you in the background. The surprising part is that both are patient. Neither demands immediate attention. Both simply wait for time to reveal their results. Imagine planting 2 gardens. One receives water, sunlight, and care every day. The other is neglected. For the first few weeks, the difference might seem small, but as the seasons pass, one garden becomes full of life. The other becomes overgrown with weeds. Your mind works the same way. If you don't intentionally plant good habits, distractions will grow on their own. Discipline is intentional. Neglect is automatic. That's why successful people protect their routines. They don't treat time casually, because they understand that every hour has value. Notice how different people respond to free time. One person asks, "What can I watch?" Another asks, "What can I learn?" One asks, "How can I spend this?" Another asks, "How can I multiply this?" The questions are different. The outcomes are different. Questions shape focus, and focus shapes action. If you constantly ask questions that lead to comfort, your decisions will follow comfort. If you ask questions that lead to growth, your decisions will begin moving in that direction. This doesn't mean life becomes all work and no joy. In fact, balance is important. Rest matters. Time with loved ones matters. Celebrating milestones matters. But long-term thinkers make rest intentional. They don't allow temporary pleasure to become a permanent lifestyle. They recover so they can continue building, not so they can avoid building. One of the most valuable habits wealthy people develop is learning continuously. They understand that the world changes. Technology changes. Markets change. Industries change. The person who refuses to learn eventually falls behind. Knowledge isn't simply information. It's opportunity. Every new skill expands your ability to solve problems. And people who solve valuable problems become valuable themselves. Think about any successful professional. They rarely stop learning after receiving a degree or landing a job. They keep improving. They attend workshops, read books, study trends, ask questions, seek mentors. Because growth has no finish line. The moment you believe you've learned enough, progress begins slowing down. Humility keeps you teachable, and teachable people remain adaptable. Another quiet habit of successful people is protecting their environment. They understand that your surroundings influence your behavior. Spend enough time around people who complain, and complaining starts to feel normal. Spend enough time around people who are disciplined, and discipline becomes easier. Attitudes are contagious, so are expectations. That's why choosing your environment is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. Ask yourself, who challenges you to become better? Who encourages your growth? Who reminds you of your potential? And equally important, what habits are the people around you reinforcing? The future you're building is influenced not only by your choices, but also by the people whose choices surround you. Another habit that quietly builds wealth is keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," and you don't, you weaken trust in yourself. Every broken promise chips away at confidence. But every promise you keep, even a small one, strengthens your belief that your words matter. Confidence isn't built by talking, it's built by doing. When you consistently follow through, you begin trusting yourself. And self-trust becomes one of the strongest foundations for success. Because when challenges appear, you already know something important. You know you won't quit easily. The wealthy also understand that mistakes are teachers, not enemies. Every successful person has made costly errors, bad investments, poor decisions, failed projects, missed opportunities. The difference is that they treated failure as education, not identity. Failure answered questions they couldn't have learned any other way. What doesn't work? What needs improvement? What requires patience? The lesson was often more valuable than the loss. People who fear failure stop trying. People who learn from failure keep growing. Eventually, experience begins producing wisdom. And wisdom often creates better decisions than talent alone. As the years pass, these quiet habits begin transforming every area of life. Finances improve. Relationships deepen, skills increase, confidence grows, not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because the person facing life has become stronger. This is why rich men think in years. They understand that greatness isn't built during moments of excitement. It's built during moments of consistency. While others are waiting for motivation, they rely on habits. While others are searching for shortcuts, they are strengthening their foundations. While others are counting down to Friday, they are quietly building a future where every day has purpose. Remember this, your future isn't being created by one extraordinary decision. It's being shaped by ordinary decisions made consistently. The book you choose to read, the money you choose to save, the skill you choose to practice, the conversation you choose to have, the promise you choose to keep. These small actions may seem insignificant today, but years from now, you'll look back and realize they were never small at all. They were the bricks that built the life you once only imagined. So don't underestimate today's discipline, because today's discipline becomes tomorrow's freedom, and tomorrow's freedom becomes a legacy that lasts far longer than any weekend ever could. So as this journey comes to an end, remember this: the distance between the life you have today and the life you dream about is rarely measured in talent. It's measured in time, in patience, in discipline, in the decisions no one applauds. Years from now, you'll either be living with the results of the choices you made or the excuses you repeated. The future isn't waiting for the perfect moment. It's being built by what you do after this video ends. The next hour, the next morning, the next week. Those moments will shape your next 5 years. So don't live only for the next Friday. Live for the future version of yourself who will one day look back and say, "I'm grateful I didn't quit." Remember, rich men think in years. Broke men think in weekends. The question is, which one are you choosing to become? If this message challenged the way you think, don't let it end here. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're ready to keep building a mindset focused on growth, discipline, and long-term success, subscribe and join this community. Because this channel isn't about chasing quick motivation. It's about developing the mindset that creates lasting change. In the next video, we'll explore another powerful principle that separates ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. One idea that could completely change the way you approach money, work, and success. Until then, keep thinking beyond today. Keep investing in your future. Keep building your legacy. And remember, the life you want is created by the choices you make when no one is watching. I'll see you in the next video.